What's good, friends? Ebony Chappelle checking in here with something hilarious for your podcast listening and viewing pleasure. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of What's Good with Ebony Chappelle. Be sure to like and subscribe, rate, review, comment, share the show with a friend. You can also connect with me and let me know what you're thinking about the show. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Ebony the Writer. You can also check me out on my website, ebonychappelle.com. On today's show, we go a lot of places. This is so cliche, but you're probably gonna laugh, you're probably gonna cry, reflect on some things, be inspired, feel all the things in this conversation with someone I think is really, really special and such a gem, and that is Justin Bland, the creator behind the Made Man Improv Show. So, if you guys love improv, you enjoy stuff like 85 South or Wildin' Out, Whose Line Is It Anyway? If you think about all those things, but, and this is just my opinion, this is my, humble opinion, if you take all those things and put, really great, amazing, talented young Black people in the pot, and sprinkle like some extra fabulous sauce on top of it, that is what you get with Made Man Improv. I've been to a few of their shows and looking forward to going to another one very soon. And it's amazing what they're able to do. Like, I wish I had better words to describe it. So, before I spend any more time rambling on about how cool Made Man Improv is, let's jump into this conversation with their creator so you can know more about how this thing came about. The creator, Justin Bland.
It's a very beautiful, humbling, everything you can think of. Like the experience is it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. I'm so excited for you. So yeah, I guess we can just jump into it then. So I like to start off the conversations by asking people what's good with them. So that could be anything that's making you smile, that's bringing joy to your life. However you classify good. What's good with you right now? What's good
What's
with
good with me
Justin?
right now? What's good with Justin? Well, I'm a movie goer, so
Okay.
it's been some pretty good movies come out in the theater, and I always speak on this because like people say, self care is key and all this. Like I realized that the
Mm-hmm.
movies, and not just the movie, but the whole movie experience. I want to go be able to recline my seat back, have my
So you going to
slushy.
the fancy ones.
That's
Okay.
AMC at Castleton.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
a A-lister, $20 a month to get you, you can watch a movie every, 3 movies a month. So I'm just like, okay, that's player. So yeah,
Wow.
that's my place of peace. Like when I go to the movies and get that whole experience, and because ultimately one day I want to have like a nice Dolby theater in my house. So
Nice.
yeah, that's definitely been key. I seen Sonic, I seen Top Gun, I seen like everything that's in the theaters. I probably seen it just because I know leading up to this show, I was just like, man, I got to get my mind, straight, and that's the number one thing. A lot of times I'm hanging with friends and stuff, and that's definitely my go to as well. I love hanging with my friends. I love going out to eat with my friends and all that. Like I'm big on friendship and family, so
Yeah.
that's key as well. But when I'm getting that a long time in, if I'm not here in my office, because this is definitely my getaway as well. If I'm not here
Hmm.
in my office creating, then the good is me being at the movie theaters watching my movies.
That is so cool. I haven't been to the movies. Just I can't even remember the last time I went inside a movie theater because I remember. Well, actually, the last movie I remember going to see in theaters was The Photograph in February of 2020.
That was a good
So
movie.
it was a good movie, and it was right before all hell broke loose. But after that, I know, right? I know. So after that, I started going to the drive-in more often because I
Yeah,
love the drive-in. That's one of my favorite things to do in the summertime is go to the drive-in. But there's nothing like that theater experience, especially when you go to see something that brings everybody together and everybody's commenting and stuff. Like I can guess, but I think you and I might have in common that we comment at the theater, at the screen. Do you do that? Or am I projecting?
Sometimes in my head, more so in my head than actually
Okay.
out loud.
All right, so that's just me. I own that. I'm that one. I am commenting at the screen.
See,
Like,
you the person I'm
yeah,
sitting next to at the theater. I'm just like,
here she go.
man, come on, relax.
At
Trying
least I ain't got my phone out though. Like I don't pull my phone out when I'm watching the movie.
oh,
I
yeah,
try to stay in the zone. I have it on silent because I want to be in it. But I think, and this is gonna take me into talking more about Made Man, but I think from the background of how I came up, like one in church, like it's very interactive, the kind of churches that I went to. And then when I started going to see theater and stuff, it's very depending on what kind of stuff you're seeing, it tends to be very interactive and it's better the more you interact. So I, for some reason, take that into the theater and I'm like, oh, I just have to like, I have to comment on what's happening.
like your amens out loud.
For yes, absolutely.
Gotcha.
They come right on out. So before we jump into the amazingness that is being in the Made Man audience, because I definitely want to talk about that. Let's start from the very beginning. You by the time this show comes out, it'll be post the 20th show.
Gotcha.
But how did it all start from the very, very start of it?
Well, it all started back in 1990.
That's when you were born? I was going to say, hold on, 1990. Okay.
Maybe not back then. Maybe not that far. No, but I
I
promise.
mean, if you want to.
As like literally as a kid, and I have like
Yeah.
footage and stuff of this. Like me and my brother, we had a improv show, and every Sunday we would. My parents got 6 kids, and we all lived under the same roof.
Okay.
And as
Where
kids,
do you fall in line in the six?
I am second to last.
Second to last. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So
it's
you're
funny
towards
that
the
you asked.
baby end.
I asked my
All right.
parents, was I planned, and they was like, "Come on, we were poor. You were the fifth. Relax."
Sir, no.
No, but
It's one of them rough nights.
oh, for sure, for sure. No, I we had an improv show called Enos and Parker, and it literally like we literally would
Wow.
just I don't know where the names came from, but we literally would every Sunday we would entertain my other siblings, and we would just we didn't have a script, we didn't even say today's show is going to be about, and we would literally get up and just start acting something out and just going with the flow, and they would just be in there cracking up, laughing, and in my head, like even as a kid, visually, I would see my some of my siblings on the floor, some in the bottom bunk, and then some on the top bunk. And in my head, I was kind of correlating that with, oh, this is an audience. They in the orchestra pit. They on the main floor, and they in the balcony. But we would just go in there. We
Wow.
would literally just make it happen. And we got footage of that, and I can't wait to share that for another project I'm working on. But just to see that, and then like go to Arlington High School, where I was like, I don't want to do anything with the theater. I don't want to do anything like that. And then I had a teacher, Miss Lewis, and actually my Fox logo is named after that teacher, Lewis the Fox. So, uh,
Mm,
yeah, so she was like, "No, you got a gift. Like you need to." She kind of put the ball in my court to kind of have my way at Arlington to do plays. So a lot of the plays we did there, it was like me and her ideas like collabed, or she just put the ball in my court and be like, "You do it." And then we went out there and did it. And my buddy Marcus Elliott, which is so dope because I started doing acting with him at Arlington, and he's
hmm.
literally one of my main actors in this show. So just to see everything come full circle. But yeah, went to Vincennes University, hosted one event, and then from there was a domino effect. And every black organization on campus was just like, "We got to have you host this." And like I was just like, "That's just start happening." Like in my head, I didn't know what like hosting looked like, but everybody's
Hmm.
everything you do on campus, just go do it. And I was just like, okay, bet. Went and did that a show, and like I said, from there it just took off. So me spending that time at Vincennes University, my mentor, uh, Charles Surrett, bam, he was like, "You got to leave your mark before you leave. Like you got to do something that's yours. You hosted everybody else's show, but I want you to do something that's yours." And I was like, "What do you got in mind?" He was like, "I want you to have a play." And I was like, "A play is kind of, we got to keep having rehearsals." And I was like,
It's a huge commitment.
it's a huge commitment. And I was
Yeah.
just like, and we probably got like a few, maybe like a month left of school. And you want me to have a play? And I was like, nah. He was like, well, what you got in mind? And then my head was like a variety show. And he was like, what does that look
Hmm.
like? And I was like, I don't know. And we literally went out like that week and we shot like basically then and what like the show then and the show now is like two different shows. Back then it was the Jay Bland Made Man show. Now it's the
Hmm.
Made Man Improv show. But yeah, we went out, shot like 11 short films, And basically I had a cast of like 5 people on stage with me. I would do a comical lead in, and then we'll bring up the that short film, and it was like comedy. It's almost like the Chappelle Show mixed with
Yeah.
Whose Line Is It Anyway? And yeah, and
Mhm.
once we did that, I was like, man, I could do this for the rest of my life. And coming back home, I was like, oh, I got something for the city. I got something for the city. 2013. And then when I came back home, I didn't have those resources. I didn't have that support. I didn't have like people didn't know me, so it was just like you got to build it right back up. So I literally took about
Yeah.
5 years of just helping out wherever people needed fit, like they see me on with their project or whatever. I took some hosting gigs. Yeah, and I just started getting back into it until I was to a point where I realized that okay, now I want to do for myself. I've been
Mhm.
hosting this with this person. I've been the AD on a project with this person. Now it's time for me to do my own. But I didn't think it's. I still didn't think it was going to be the Made Man Improv Show. But I was just like, put out that post that I was telling you about. I was just like, I just want to be around like-minded people. If you're interested in improv acting and you want to come and just have some fun, and that's what we're gonna do. That was in 2017 when I made that post, and then we wrote. That was like December, so we wrote into 2018, and then like the first week of that improv session, we had like 7 people, which was like bigger than what I was even expecting. I was expecting
Mhm.
maybe like 4 or 5 of us, but to have 7, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have some fun. And then the next week we had 14, and then the next week we had 24, and the next week it was like 32, and I was just like, whoa.
Wow.
So then I started seeing people actually gravitating towards it, and then I was like, this actually be something. But for me to actually teach the knowledge that I know and what I've gained over the years, I can't teach a class of 32. And I think the following week was like 40 something. So I was like, I got to
Mm.
basically put a hold on it. So I let people know that I'll be picking 16 people from all these open sessions to start an improv group. And then from there, we'll just see where it goes. So I picked 16 people, and we decided we was gonna have one show, and that was it. We was like, we're gonna just have one show. That's it. We got other stuff on the agenda, what we're trying to do. And once we had that one show, of course, a lot of people in the city don't know what didn't know what improv was. So they said I can pay $5 to go check it out and see what it is. And then at intermission of that first show is like when we knew like, oh no, we got something. Like this
Mhm.
is what I tried.
What was it that made you know at that point?
It was the energy. It was the like the genuine. It's like something in the air was just like when we first got in there.
Mhm.
You just seeing people just filling up, filling up, filling up in there, and then it was just like okay, cool. But we started the show, and like even the cast was asking me like prior to the show, like what does the show look like? And I've done this before, but when I have 16 other adults who haven't, it's like they still kind of like okay, we got pretty good at this over the course of the last 2 months, but what does the show look like? So us getting
Yeah.
out there actually doing it, and then them seeing themselves out there doing it and seeing the crowd respond to them. That's what I think at intermission when we came back, it was just that first half was just it just hit so like it hit so good that when we came back there, everybody was slapping fives, hugging each other as
Yeah.
like the show was over. But it was just the energy that everybody had coming back to the intermission. We were just like, no, this is we understand now. We all have an understanding of what it is. So that second half was even better than the first. And then that literally led into all right, we can do another show if that's what people want. All right, well, since we didn't keep score the first show, and then this team won the second show, we'll have a third show. And then, of course, the opposite team won. So now it's just like, oh, well, we got to have a tiebreaker show. The tiebreaker show,
Mhm.
the fourth show, sold out in 6 minutes. And I think that's what kind of solidified us and had the attention in everybody's. Because when I scroll down people's news feed, I couldn't even pick up my phone without shaking like this because like the tickets literally sold out in 6 minutes, and I had to go outside to get some air. And like I don't even think I broke that down on anybody's interview ever. That like that moment of selling out a show in 6 minutes, like it was surreal. And I'm
Mm.
just like, man, I have to go outside so I can get some air because I don't believe this. I called the lady who was running the tickets, and I said they said the ticket site is crashed. Like I'm confused. People saying it's sold out.
Wow.
It's so I'm like it said it's sold out. I'm confused. And I was like, but I'm it's only been 6 minutes. She was like, Justin, the tickets are legit sold out. I was like 200 tickets in 6 minutes, and she was like, they're gone. So that right there showed me that was like an indicator for me that okay, we not only have something, but we have the potential to make this thing grow. We have the potential to reach certain people with the content. Because if
Mhm.
you come to the show, a lot of times you expecting that yeah, you're gonna be laughing and but you're gonna leave with something. Even if it's not
Yeah.
something that's super serious, like, oh, that just was so deep, but you still gonna leave with some piece of inspiration to say, like, you know what, maybe in my own respectful craft, I can go do X, Y, Z, or I can start building that project or that product that I thought I had. You gonna
Hmm.
leave with something. So yeah, man, it's just been a beautiful journey, man. It's
Yeah.
only elevating.
Yes. What a story. What a testimony. Um,
Facts.
so would you consider what you were doing when you were a little kid, Enos and Parker? It
Yeah,
was when you
it's
started with,
it's funny
yeah.
to hear somebody else say that. Innocent Parker, like yeah,
Yeah. You're like, wow, I can't believe it was even on that. Yeah, but when you look back at that and seeing your siblings on their bunks and on the floor, would you consider what you were doing then manifesting?
even though I didn't know what manifesting was, or I didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
walking in my purpose was, everything when I got to a certain age, about 28, everything just really started to make sense. When I even found the whole thing with me finding the footage, I just found some old tapes in my parents' house, and I went to this place to convert them to like DVDs so we can watch it at Thanksgiving, like
Mm-hmm.
2018 or 19. And then when I started, like when it got to certain part, we didn't know what was on them. So when it got to certain parts, and I seen that, it's like my brothers, we was watching it together, and their heads just kind of turned around and just like looked,
Wow.
and I was just like, man, I was like trying not to get emotional, like, oh snap, like this is crazy to see me
Mm-hmm.
with a rolled up piece of paper acting like it's a microphone, and then to put that side by side in my office with some footage of me actually holding a microphone at this age, and just kind of like seeing the mannerisms and everything, and just to see like, dang, we really didn't have a script. Like we really was just, we had different segments where we was acting like the news. We had segments where we was acting like we was making movies. Then we had segments where we was literally having our improv show. So
Mm-hmm.
back then, I thought, even like my family thought like, oh, Justin's just funny. Like, and at a young age, I understood adult humor, and it was just like I could pick up on stuff, and then like when somebody say something and they don't think kids understand, and then I would actually add to that joke, and everybody start laughing, and adults is looking at me like, whose kid is this? Like who?
Exactly. That's why kids ain't allowed to be where grown people is at.
Exactly.
Because of that
And I'm
right
just
there.
like,
You
it
be
would have
knowing
been
too much.
funny. Like, it would have been funnier if he had to set this. And they looking at me like, wait, what? So it was just like, man, like looking back at that moment in my life, man, it's like even just thinking about it, it's just like, man, like I know for sure, like this is my God given purpose. Like
Mm,
that wasn't just all fun and games. That was really me. Like that was the start of everything that people see now. That was me in raw form, developing into this young adult now to have this opportunity in this platform. So
yeah.
I may not have known what was going on then, but now looking at the bigger picture and seeing everything align, it's
Hmm.
beautiful. Like it's almost like too perfect. I'd be like, God, you kind of showing out now. What's going on? Especially for me to find that footage. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Hmm. I love that so much. And it makes me think of a couple things. Like, one, I just think it's amazing that you were in an environment that fostered the
Yes.
opportunity to be able to do that, because very easily people could have shut it down and been like, boy, sit your ass down somewhere or whatever. And I'm
Facts.
I'm sure there are times where they wanted to, but for whatever reason, like you were in an environment where it fostered that sort of thing, and having like the mentors and people, helping to support, and even your siblings like sitting and watching and paying attention.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to you to have that kind of support and that kind of backing, pretty much throughout your journey?
I think it's, especially like you said with my background, I grew up in the church, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's super important for somebody who grew up in the church to, because a lot of times people frowned upon any type of humor outside of the church. So it was just like, yeah, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. A lot of people, and I get my humor from my dad, and a lot of people
Mm,
approach me that it's like my dad's age group, and they would say, if this was allowed in church, your dad would have been basically what you are now. Like, but they kind of shut that down. He didn't have that environment like you were just talking about. So for me
mm-hmm.
to kind of be around that same teaching and same upbringing, but for me to slip through the crack, and not just slip through the crack, but actually have that support from my family, from my siblings, from my parents, from my friends, and just be in that environment to create and to like be myself. I think it's a blessing, and I think it's super important that wherever you are in life, you know what I'm saying, to put yourself in that environment. That's the whole reason why I created this platform. A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
people are funny. A lot of times people are they're well spoken. A lot of times people are they're just like creators. But when you're not in the environment for you to grow and for you to actually water that seed, then yeah, eventually you're gonna be one of the people 20 years from now saying, "Man, I remember where I could have been, and you just got all these different excuses of what
Yeah.
what could have happened." But when you actually take a second to make those sacrifices and step back and say, "You know what, this environment is not cultivating what I actually needed to do. It's not basically breaking the ground of the seed that I need to plant. Let me move around and come over here." So I
Mm-hmm.
honestly believe like it's a blessing for me to be in that because some people don't get that, and I understand that. So for me, I look at everything that happened in my life like a blessing. And now since I have my platform, I take that same mindset that people had for me and I instill it right back into the young adults that, God sent me. So it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's so I think you're a perfect example of this this concept that I've been floating around in my head. So go with me here because it's a
Got
little all over the place.
you.
But you know Tyler the Creator,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So I got into his music kind of later in the game. I would say Flower Boy was the first album I heard that I was like, okay, now I fucks with this because
Dope
before I
album.
was like, I appreciate, young black men doing whatever they want to do, but it wasn't for me. But something
Basically.
about that, yeah. I was like, it ain't for me. But I would say Flower Boy really was for me, and then the Call Me If You Get Lost, which was the last I think his last album, or there might be one after that, I can't remember. But Call Me If You Get Lost, I completely like wear into the ground. But in listening to him on the album, there's a skit with his mom, and his mom is like really like she hardcore with it. And she's like, I fight anybody for my kids, like da 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 da, teachers, kids, I don't give, I'll fight anybody. And it just made me laugh because even though some people might not necessarily agree with what she was saying, it made me laugh, and it was I thought it was a good thing in the sense that clearly her thought process as a parent cultivated an environment where Tyler could grow up and then do all these amazing creative things that he does and literally put no limits on himself whatsoever as a person. And it made me think about this quote from, do you know Yo Yo Ma?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so Yo Yo Ma is a classical musician, and he was talking about how it takes 3 generations to create a musical prodigy because there's so many different things that have to like line up
Yeah.
for, like you were saying, to even have the ground be fertile enough for that seed to like come through.
Facts.
So
That's
it got me to thinking about how many generations does it take to create a free black child.
that's
Like that's so just thinking about like your story and what you share and everything, it made me really think about like what it takes to create an environment where our young people can grow up and feel as free as they want to
yeah.
do anything that
Yeah.
they want to do, because we know we're creative people, but sometimes we just don't offer those opportunities to our young
For
people and
sure.
to ourselves, too.
Nah, that's dope. That's beautiful. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah. So what there are so many different things that I want to talk to you about. I guess going back to Made Man Improv. So I have been to a couple of shows, and you are correct in the fact that you leave with something. Like it's just I don't it's just so hard to describe. Like y'all that are listening, if you're in the Indianapolis area, you absolutely have to come to see a show because it's so special. But the last time I came, I was in tears within like 5 minutes, like crying, laughing. I was like, I don't know how much further how much further are they gonna go? So at that one, that was the show where so many different things happened, but the one that I keep remembering is they were reenacting music videos, and they were
Oh,
reenacting reenacting Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony. And part where the part in the and if you remember the music video, so scary. Like as kids, We would run
Facts.
out of the room. We were
Facts.
so scared. And we loved Bone Thugs and Harmony, but we would run out of the room when that music video came on. So, long story short, like there's a part in the video where, and if I can get away with it without getting my YouTube flagged, I might add it in. But long story short, there's the angel of death, right? And he's coming through and like
Hilarious.
touching people and people die. So the angel of death in the Made Man show had a square hanging out the side of his mouth, sunglasses and a do-rag and like a flannel button down. And
With
he
little bitty
came,
wings.
yes, with these little bitty tiny angel wings hanging on the back. And this was like this tall man. And he came and did he somebody was holding a baby down. And did he snatch the baby or did he knock it out of their hand?
He grabbed and said,
Ridiculous. When he snatched the baby, when the girl came out from behind the scenes with the baby down, I already knew where it was going. I was like, oh
Thanks.
my God, this is gonna be ridiculous. And when he took that baby out of her hands, we erupted.
Shout out to Gerald, man. That is he definitely would take something. That's what they do. They take something and then they would just exceed the expectations of what people think.
Wow.
Like you said,
So
if you talk about
yes,
if you talk about that video, the one we was actually scared of, and then actually seeing this, it's like, man, this is just hilarious, man.
madness. So it made me wonder every time I see something like that, I'd be like, what was they talking about? Like, where did this idea even come from that would make somebody think, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come here with these little tiny angel wings on my big tall body, and I'm gonna snatch this baby
Right.
down out this lady arms. Where does it even? Where does it come from?
I think, like you said, like you laughing within the first 5 minutes of the show. As soon as we get out there, there's no. A lot of times people try to they try to stack their show to kind of make it like gradually build, and sometimes
Okay.
that's good for a play. Like, if you have a play,
Yeah,
you
the
want people to know.
climax
Yeah,
and
you want
everything. Yeah.
exactly. You want it to gradually build, but ours is that we want to come out on fire. We really hold ourselves accountable to starting the show on time. Just because we black,
Mm-hmm.
we don't want people to show up at. If we say the show is at 7 o'clock, I'll say 5 o'clock because that's this time for this next show on Sunday. So if we say the show is at 5 o'clock, we don't want people showing up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock because they thinking like, oh, we on CP time, so we're gonna get.
No.
So we want people. If anything, we want the people who came on time or came early. We want to honor them for coming on time and coming early. So if it's 60 people out of 300 in the crowd, we starting the show, and then we just gonna let people feel like, dang, well, we had plenty of people say, "Oh, y'all should have. I mean, y'all should have kept the show going a little bit longer." And I was like, "No, you should have just got here on time."
Hello.
That way, we put something and we stack it to where it's like you going that first 5 minutes you talking about, that person is gonna miss it. So when you talking
Mm-hmm.
about creativity and where does it come from and all that, we understand that the show has to 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 just be from the top of the shows. As soon as we start, it got to hit. It got to hit. So when we come up with games and stuff like that, that's a game that we play called lip sync, and they have to just basically they can reenact it as the video. They can reenact it like a live performance or
So
however
is
they.
it something that the teams rehearse ahead of time, or is
Yeah,
it something that all okay? So
yeah,
they have some idea ahead of time of what they're gonna
absolutely.
do, and then probably the date of like
We got to see it. We
yeah.
got to see it because a lot of so when we actually doing it, that's why a lot of times for those games, it's a couple of games like um, lip sync and greatest hits. These are games I say, you know what, for better production value and for the audience, it'd be better if I tell you ahead of time and we actually, actually make a whole production out of it instead of us trying to
Mm-hmm.
improv the whole show. We'll give y'all the improv, but at the same time, I want to give y'all some
Yeah.
production value as well. So
Mm-hmm.
a
Because
lot of
it could get
times,
lost if it's
for
not
sure.
like tight enough.
For
Yeah.
sure. So it's a lot of times like when they doing that, you'll see me come out there so I can watch it because that's my first time seeing it.
Mm.
So yeah, so a lot of times when they back there and they writing down ideas and they saying, oh, we should do this, we should do that. It's more so with the thought of like, oh, the crowd is gonna eat this up. We can't do even
Yeah.
though Bone Thugs, that scared the mess. And I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all. And this dude with black eyes like this, it scared us as
Yes.
kids. Now we have to figure out a way to convey that to comedy to where we putting in all these elements and everybody's favorite part, but we're just making it in a comical relief way. And then that's where you got
Mm-hmm.
the angel of death with the cigarettes and the little wings and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just they understand the assignment. I can definitely say the cast definitely understands the assignment for sure.
Hmm. They absolutely do. And I deeply, deeply appreciate how black it is. It is black as hell.
Can I say
It's,
something about that?
yes, please.
So when somebody told me this, and this is for anybody who's listening, somebody told me, I think it was probably like show number uh 10 or 11, and somebody
Mm-hmm.
said your show is it's black AF, and I'm just thinking like, okay, and they was like, man, it's so ratchet, I love it, and I was like, whoa, like, what do you mean?
Why it gotta be ratchet?
That's I was like, wait, what do you mean it's ratchet? And it was like, bro, it's right. I'm thinking like, man, my show, and I got a little offended. I'm like, my show's not ratchet. And then it was like, bro, your show is the only show I can go to, and y'all play Kurt Franklin and then play Meg the Stallion. And I started thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? And they said, bro, your show is righteous and ratchet. And I said, you know what? I'm wearing that. I'm wearing that. And to say my show is black, no, your show is black. I was thinking when we first started, with that very first show, we probably had like it was probably like 30% white people. And
Oh yeah, because they does the improv.
yeah,
That's
so
a
like it
big
was like
thing.
30%
Yeah.
white people, 70% black people. And as the show continued to elevate, we would just lose our white following because the content that I created is for black people. And even
Mm-hmm.
when we had the sketch called The Upside Down, and that's basically a sketch where I show that basically role reversal, and then I basically make the black people the majority, the white people the minority. And then when you just do a like a role reversal, and then they see it from the other side, and then they start to get offended. I can't apologize for that. It was one show I asked, I said, did that sketch make y'all uncomfortable? And a couple white people was like, yeah, it did. And I was like, that's totally fine with me. Y'all can be uncomfortable for 8 minutes because a lot of time we live our lives uncomfortable
For
until we
sure.
figure out who we are. So once you say the show is like, oh, the show is black. I love it. I love it. Like I wear that with pride. I wear it like a favorite jacket, like for real. Like that's a beautiful thing. That's like a beautiful compliment to me. So instead of me running from it now, it's just like, no, my show is black. Y'all gonna come, y'all gonna
Mm-hmm.
see that this show is black in the
Yeah.
best way possible, in the best beautiful black way possible. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important, especially as creators, that we stay true. I know you know Kev on stage,
For
and
sure.
he has a course online, and I saw him advertising it. I was like, yeah, I'm taking your course because I just want to learn, whatever you got to share, I'll soak up that game. So the one of the videos I looked at in the course, he was talking about that authenticity and how important it is. And I think about that a lot because it goes to that concept of like find your tribe, like
Yeah.
finding your audience and finding the people that's gonna rock with you, like them ones that's gonna consistently sell out in 6 minutes. Like the only
Yeah.
way they would have been able to find you and connect and feel like this is something that they can own and they belong to too is if you would be real and talk about shit that you know about,
It's a
and be
fact.
really tied into that. Was there ever a point where you felt like you needed to try something else or step outside of what you knew? Did you ever feel that temptation or that struggle?
It was literally probably the second or third show. And
Okay.
honestly, I start to see our white crowd, our white following dwindle. And I was just
Mm.
like, dang, what's going on? And then like I was like, there was a point in my office where I was thinking, okay, what do I got to do to get my white audience back?
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, what
And
do I
that's
have
so
to do?
common.
Yeah,
Honestly, yes, that conversation happens with a lot of people.
for sure.
Yes, because they fear that they're not going to be able to sustain without that white money.
And a lot of people will see, and and I hate that people do that. A lot of people will equate like white audience. They'll come to the show and they be like, man, it's 30% white people here, but you made it. I'm like, it's 100% black people here. I made it. What are you talking about? So that's where I be at
Yes.
with it now. So like then, and I didn't understand the concept. So that's why I never jump down nobody's throat when they don't understand it. I don't know what era of their life they're in or what season they're in for them to understand it yet. But I was glad that I was able to have that moment of, oh, I have to write this sketch because white people will get it. It's white people funny. Oh my God, I gotta do this and maybe they'll like this. And then I was just like, what are you doing? Like
Hmm.
you wanted to build something so bad for your people. You went so hard to make this platform for for all these black faces and all everything that you doing. You did it for because we don't have those opportunities. And now since you have your own platform and you can do whatever you want, you're choosing to take a step back and say, well, let me just go ahead and let you guys in the back door. No. So I literally had to get on myself and say, it is okay, Justin. You create your art because one thing is artists, and I don't care if you're a musician, if you're an actual painter, whatever it is, once you start trying to take your art through so many different filters, it's not your art anymore. If I'm a
Mhm.
painter and then I'm asking somebody, hey, what do you think about this? And it's like, I like that idea, but you need to tweak this. All right, what do you think about it? Well, I would change this. I would change this. By the time I get done with that painting, that's not my painting no more. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what can I do to keep my raw, black, wholehearted, like everything just about me? Like, what can I do to keep that? Because once you start taking that away, that's when I think you start to see people start to like crash. Once they start trying to
Yeah.
adapt to every different tribe, like you said,
Mhm.
it's like, man, this is not going to be appeasing to this tribe. But in our reality, we're more than welcome to have y'all come over here. But this is for this tribe.
For
I'm not gonna
sure.
stop y'all at the door and be like, no, you can't come, and never that, because there's always gonna be love over here in this tribe. But at the same time, I'm building and creating with a specific people in mind.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's my whole take on that. Like, I have to create for the people with no voice. I have to create for the people from the trenches who feel like there's no way out. I got to create for the people who have a beautiful job and beautiful family, but still don't understand their purpose. I have to create for those people, those black people who get overlooked, those black people who have that trauma. I create for all of us across
Yeah.
the board. So if I'm not being able to tap into another race, that's totally fine with me at this point.
Mhm.
I might have something for you over here, but if not, I'm sorry, you might want to go shop around, and
Yeah.
that's a fact.
Yeah. Because you know what, the people that are meant to be there and that are meant to connect, they're gonna always find something, because there's things that I watch on TV and ain't a lick of black people in it, and they don't talk about anything that specifically like is like overtly black, but
Yeah,
it's funny enough and it's well done enough that I'm just like, this is for me.
for sure.
Two examples. I will watch for 24 hours straight Curb Your Enthusiasm in The Office.
I knew you was gonna say The
Period.
Office. I was waiting for The Office. I was waiting for The
Yeah.
Office.
Yeah.
That's definitely a show to where a lot of my black friends, like some of them, like I said, for the people who's like, well, I'm not gonna say a specific type, but some people they be like, man, y'all watch that? It's not funny. And I was like, well, it's not for you. But like you said,
Mhm.
it may not. They probably didn't create it with us in mind, but at the same time, I love it. Like The Office
Yes.
is fire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about what you do to stay consistent as a creator. And I ask that because one, just for a few different reasons. I noticed that there had been times where you would come out publicly and say, that you were experiencing different things that made you feel like you needed to stop or take a break or pivot or whatever it was that was going on. But you stuck with it. And I'm sure that there's a lot of different things that you've gone through that have been like valley situations.
Yeah.
What is your tips for staying true and staying consistent to what it is that you want to accomplish?
Ultimately, when you look at your goals that you set for yourself, and you looking at how you're gonna get to those goals,
Hmm.
like you really have to. A lot of times, you think about your resources, you think about your finances, you think about who can help you bring this vision to life, and a lot of times you skip over how you gonna do this mentally. A lot of times we just skip
Yes.
over that because we're looking at the paper, we like, I got to do this, and I got this deadline, I got this. So how am I? And then you skip over you, and then next thing you know, you 3 shows in and not feeling complete. You 3 shows in, you're not getting that satisfaction no more. Like you like that, you're just not getting that fulfillment anymore. And that's where I was at. Matter of fact, in December when I announced that I was going to take a 6 month hiatus, uh,
Hmm.
and I was glad that I did it. And not only that, somebody hit me up and they said, with you being the face of your organization, I think it's important that you did that publicly so people will understand that it's okay to take breaks. And
Yes.
I didn't look at it like that. They was like, you have a following, and then people see that they don't have to pour from an empty cup because now they see like, oh, it's okay for us to take a break, even though this show is in demand. People would be like, why wouldn't you just keep going? And I was like, mentally I couldn't, physically I could, but mentally I couldn't. And I feel like if I'm creating from a space where I'm not being genuine and true to myself, like mentally, then I feel like I'm ultimately cheating my audience. So I was
Hmm.
like, it was a good feeling it was pretty dope to realize that, dang, yeah, I really been in autopilot these last 3 shows, and people still saying, oh, this is the best show, this is the best show. But in my head, I still, even though people were giving me their gratitude, I still have to go back to the drawing board and face reality and be like, Justin, this is not, you really giving these people the short end of the stick. Ultimately, you only hurting yourself. You only hurting your brand. you need to step back and you need to take a break. And I would say to anybody who is creating, or if you, I don't care if it's a physical product, I don't care if it's a show, like you need rest. I know a lot of
Mm.
times we watch these millionaires and billionaires, and we be like, they said no sleep. They said that's unhealthy.
And
That
they lying. They
ain't no, they
lying.
lying.
I was on a webinar yesterday actually, and the facilitator was bringing up that it floated around online for a while, but you got the same 24 hours as Beyonce. And she broke it down and she was like, "Look, we might technically both have 24 hours in a day just like anybody else on the planet Earth. A day is, classified as 24 hours. However,
However,
Beyonce didn't have to go to the grocery store. Beyonce ain't had to wash no clothes. She ain't had to do nothing on this tedious list of shit that you had to do on top of going to work, driving yourself to work, driving the kids where they got
yeah,
so it's not even realistic
yeah,
at all. And I'm
yeah,
so glad that you brought that up because I've had that conversation with fellow people in the community that's like grind, grind, grind. And I'm just like, listen,
yeah.
I love you. And I know what you want. Like I have an idea of what you want because I don't know the contents of your heart. But because I love you, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like it's okay to stop. It's
No,
okay to take a
sure.
break, and you need to be going to sleep at night.
Right.
Like,
I
yeah,
don't understand the concept of, I get it. Like sometimes you do go on overcrime mode. It was one time, literally, like before a show, everything was falling apart. And I came into my
mm,
office on Friday afternoon. And by the time I left, it was Sunday night, and I did not know. And if like you see
wow,
my office, I don't have windows or anything, and I just felt like time was just going and was just going. And by the time
hmm,
I was thinking like, dang, I'm kind of hungry now, and I'm thinking like, oh, I've been in here since Friday. It's Sunday night, and I've been in here since Friday afternoon, and
yeah,
it's literally a thing of no, like you're listen to your body. A lot of times people wait till it's too late, and I'm not going to turn this into
hmm,
a health seminar. A lot of times people, especially black people, we wait till it's too late. We want to grind, 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 and we
yeah,
don't understand the consequences of grind, grind, grind. Yeah, you might get that great payout, but it's not worth your health and all that. So I'm very
hmm,
big on let people know, like, yeah, don't call me before 10 a.m. I'll be asleep, because I go to bed pretty late. I stay up and I do get those hours in when I have to, but yeah, I think it's key for people to understand that these social media trends, which I ain't gonna lie, I hate social media, but since
me
I do
too.
have a platform, like we have to do these things to kind of build our
I have
brand.
limits. I have very
Yeah,
specific limits
and
around
that's
it.
and that's good. Like one thing that I started doing last year was setting boundaries, and not just on
Yes.
social media. Like if I feel like something, like when I think before I post. So if I post something where I thought it out, a lot of times I don't even post my opinion. So if I post
Hmm.
something and then somebody come in the comments and they say something that's left field, a lot of times instead of me saying what do they mean or why would they say that, I just delete it because it's easier that way.
I love that.
It's
Honestly,
easy.
because why should you have to
I
even
shouldn't have to look
acknowledge
at
it?
this. Is my page, and
Yeah.
I know what I meant. I know I had good intent. So if you want to have
Yeah.
a conversation, that's why we can have. I'm all for a good conversation, but yeah, it's just like controlling what you can control and not waking up every day trying to feel like let me get on here and debate, or not waking up every day trying to convince people. Not waking up every day. It's just like life is way too short. A lot of people get up.
Yeah.
And they got a job that they hate. They got 40 hours of guaranteed stress every week, and I gotta get on social media and debate and follow these trends. No, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Be able to separate yourself from the social media be able to separate yourself from all the chit chat, and don't get caught up in all the he say, she say. It's so easy to go down that rabbit hole and then you way off course from what you got going on. So I don't even know how he got here, but I don't even know how he got here, but I definitely wanted to
Yeah.
say that small piece for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing it because I think it is relevant and it's so important, especially as someone that has a platform. Because I think sometimes people think because I have a platform and either I'm promoting this service or I'm trying to brand myself as this thing or that thing that I have to like constantly feed this beast that's like impossible, and it becomes really really toxic after a while. Like, so for as many good things as the social media world can offer in terms of like giving us an opportunity to make our dreams come true, it is also full of bullshit. Like it's so much foolishness that goes on. And I know for me, I got to a point where certain things were just getting so ridiculous that I was like, okay, look, I don't need to have access to this 24/7, and I deleted all the apps off my phone. So I have the apps on a different device, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I check them in the morning, maybe in the evening once I get done with everything. Like, I'll post whatever I need to post, and then like I go on with my day. But I'm not to constantly have access to it or have it have access to me. I'm like, I don't think that's necessary
I
for
like
me to
that.
be
That's
able to
dope.
accomplish anything.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I think I need to look into that myself. Like that's
Test
dope.
it out. Test it out and
Yeah.
see if it works for you.
Yeah.
If not, you try something else. But I think it's worth a shot, honestly,
Yeah.
because I think if more of us normalized using it as a tool, as like it used to be, as a tool, and not as another function of our life, like all the
Yeah.
time, I think we would have a healthier relationship
That's a
with
fact.
it. Um, but yeah, just just something to consider.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to shift gears a little bit. Well, no, it's entirely pretty much because it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But I wanted to talk with you about the concept of grief and processing it. And the reason why is because there's a person that was really special to our entire community, and I know was special to you individually, and that was Teddy. And it was about a year ago at this point that we lost him, like tragically, and in a way that I still don't it's still really hard for me to make sense of. And I didn't even
Right.
have that deep of a relationship with him. It's crazy because we had literally hung out probably like a month before then, and
Yeah.
had seen each other like that week before, and was just starting to like kind of rekindle, like, oh, let's hang out, let's
Yeah.
chit chat, and then to have it happen like that, like, I know for me, it like it hurt on like on a very like specific level that I was like, okay, I can't even articulate
Yeah.
exactly, what I'm dealing with. But I know after that, I just kept thinking about how passionate he was about the things that he wanted to accomplish, and how deeply supportive he was of the people in his life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what that experience, if it taught you anything, or what like how you're taking care of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the main thing that it taught me is to the main thing that Teddy taught me, period, was just to be present. Like we was talking about, like he was always just talking about like when you're in a room, make sure that people know that you're in a room, and you don't even have to do like you do that verbally, but just make sure your presence is felt when somebody's talking to you. Look them in the eye, and he was just like real big on respect, real big on love, and I think his passing for me, for one, I took it hard because I had never had anybody that close to me pass. I've had
Mhm.
relatives pass. I've and of course, I've cried, and I've had some celebrity. Well, actually, Kobe Bryant was probably the first celebrity I cried over, and
Yeah,
then
that one blew me,
it
like,
just
yeah.
and piggybacking off of that, it just seems like some people are supposed to live forever, and that was Teddy to
We
me.
would like them to, yes.
Yeah, and that was Teddy. That was Teddy for me. And I was just like, dang,
Yeah.
it's just like Teddy was supposed to grow up to be an old man. That's how I see it in my head. So
Mhm.
honestly, with it being the first person I actually actually have to like grieve over, uh, it was difficult. And then we was gearing up for our first show back, and it was extremely difficult because we got hit with so many different obstacles, and then that was just like, oh my goodness, like this is unreal. And I didn't know what grieving really was. I would always tell people, oh, take your time and blah, blah, blah. And I would say cliche things to people when they were going through situations, but until I actually was going through it, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. And there was one particular moment at the show. I really kind of set myself up for this because the last conversation me and Teddy had was about the show, our comeback show. or whatever.
Mhm.
So he was saying like, hey, I know I bought tickets to the previous one. We didn't get to have that one. So do we get to? Are we gonna honor these tickets? And I was like, absolutely. So we was talking about it and we was just chopping it up and we kind of left it off. That was the last conversation we had. So he was supposed to be at that show. So what I did, this is my homie. I got to put this teddy bear in this chair to, to pay homage to my friend. So once I did that, and I was just like, let's take a moment of silence. This is my homie. He's supposed to be here. Teddy's supposed to be here. He literally had tickets to the show. And I just want to take a moment of silence. We took a moment of silence, and I was not able to bounce back. And I can kind of like,
Mm.
smile about it and stuff now because it was just like I didn't know what grief felt like until that moment of silence. I tried to say something, my voice cracked, and I'm kind of like, oh snap. I looked at the DJ like, play some music, and I walked off stage. Nobody knew what was going on, but I literally went to the side of that stage, and I'm not one to show emotion. I literally went to the side of the stage and I broke down like crazy. I'm talking about boo hoo crying, and I don't cry in front of people. I barely cry like during like it's rare that I cry, and I was just boo
Mhm.
hooing, and like I felt people coming like coming to my aid and just kind of just trying to show me love and just talking to me, and then I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this show, and I've never had that moment in my life to where I felt like I don't know how I'm gonna get through the show, and I was legit like I don't know how I'm gonna stop crying. So I literally went out there with my eyes now swelled up. And I started the show, and we just like put a lot of love into the environment. And I was even though the show was great, it was just like, dang, I can't continue my life like having those moments. So I need to figure out a way to kind of fix this, or I need to figure out a way to grieve. I need some time because even at his
Mhm.
memorial, and I say this uh, on your show, even at his memorial, and I never talk about this to nobody, but if you were there, you knew what happened. If you were there, like even then, like I let my emotions get the best of me because I felt like his memorial at the Mousetrap, I didn't feel like it was sincere. So after,
Oh, I didn't even make it to that. I thought you were talking about the funeral service,
oh
but
no,
yeah.
no, no,
Okay.
the actual memorial
At the
at
mousetrap.
the
Okay.
Mousetrap. When I tell you, like, and I once I seen, I didn't feel like it was for Teddy. And I talked to a couple of his family members. They didn't feel it. And they felt the same way. Like they don't feel like this is for him. I took the mic and I spazzed out, and
Oh,
that's oh
wow.
yeah, and to this day, like once his aunts and they kind of like gave me like, no, Teddy would be proud of what you did. I felt so bad because I was like, dang, did I ruin this? Did I afterwards? I was like, did I ruin this? Did I? And a lot of people gave me grace because they know what type of person I am. They was like, that wasn't you. That was your emotions coming out. Like, I mean, Teddy passed that. It was like that Saturday, and then they had that memorial on Monday, and I just kind of felt personally it was too rushed. And like I said, all this is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong, but I
Mhm.
just knew then I still wasn't okay because we haven't even been to his funeral. We come to this memorial, and I don't feel like nobody's honoring him. So I took the mic and I had every intent to just kind of like smooth things out, and I spazzed out. I feel like I was watching myself spaz out. So that's when I knew, like, yeah, Justin, this is way different from any other death or any other tragic loss that you've ever experienced. You need to figure something out. So I was taking those times to kind of taking those breathers. And honestly, I can't tell you it was a day to day process, and it still is because we're not even a year um, on his.
No, that would be next month would be
Yeah,
a year. Yep.
yeah. So it just literally just like, man, every day I was just figuring out new things to kind of not necessarily take my mind off of it. I know a lot of people they would suggest that do something to take your mind off of it, but I was like, I don't want to stop thinking about my homie. So I would think about the
No.
good times. I would literally think about the good times, and Facebook will remind you like, oh yeah, you was this day you was with Teddy, and it's just like, bruh, this is crazy. So I would literally think
Mhm.
about the good times. I would think about his messages and stuff. And a lot of times now that he's gone, I would think about some stuff that he said, and I just started breaking it down. Like, wait a minute, like I didn't understand that, and I wouldn't have understood that while he was here. And I think one thing that kind of, and I'll share this story, not be done with it, but I think one thing that really stood out to me is that Teddy came to my second show. Um, and I've referenced this earlier in your show, but we played Kurt Franklin, Melodies from Heaven, and then the
Mhm.
crowd got into it. They got into it, but then we went right back into some ratchet music. And afterwards, if you know Teddy, Teddy will let you know how he feel about you, good, bad, or indifferent.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely.
that is a fact. So Teddy,
Ah.
afterwards, he was like, Blaine, let me holler at you. He's like, man, you had a beautiful show, and I was like appreciative. And he was like, man, it was so dope. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I felt about you playing gospel music. and then playing worldly music. I'm not a fan of that. So I was just like, well, what you mean? He was just like, I'm just not a fan of you like mixing it up. And then he was like, I mean, but I'm all open. Like, you don't have to explain, but I'm all ears. And I said, honestly, my train of thought, Teddy, is that gospel song might be the only piece of Jesus or only piece of light that somebody get.
Mm,
And Teddy
you
looked at
better
me,
say that. And that's Kurt to a
listen,
T.
and,
That's his whole career.
and
Yeah.
Teddy looked at me and he said, okay, Blaine, okay. And it kind of just like, all right. And we laughed about it. And then to
Mm,
actually see his last post on his story, if you remember his last story when they was on the boat, they were turning up to melodies from heaven. And that to
so
me,
yeah, I saw somebody say that because I didn't see his story. I just saw
yeah,
the picture of him like chucking the deuces like in
yeah.
the front seat. But somebody later was like, yeah, they was all on the boat like singing gospel and just having a good old time. And I'm like,
And I'm like,
wow,
Teddy had his cup in his hand, and it was just like it just came full
free.
circle. Yeah, and it was just
Yeah.
like that I got you, Blend. I understand, Blend. Oh, I get that. I like that. And then to see
Mm-hmm.
that song played on his story, to them, vibing out to that, it was just like, man, like everything really does come full circle. So, but yeah, man,
Yeah.
that whole process is now I'm at peace, and now I'm just like I said, I think about all the stuff that he said. He had so much valuable information. He had an impact on so many different people, so many different
Yes.
tribes. If you was at his funeral, you would be like, dang, like that's one tribe, that's another tribe, that's a different
Mm-hmm.
tribe. There's so many tribes in here.
Yep. I
And it's
was blown away by people I knew that was there that I didn't know that
new
that
him.
was a person we had in common. I'm
Yeah,
like, what? Like, and they're like, oh, he did this and he did. I'm like, oh my God, like how prolific in
yeah.
the short amount of time that we got to be with him, like how prolific of a legacy is that?
Man,
Like,
that dude had a beautiful
whew,
soul. I tell people he was a one of one, and if you took nothing else, a lot of people didn't know him, but still felt the grief that everybody was experiencing. And I was like,
mm-hmm.
man, if you took nothing away from him, live your life. Like he lived like it was like within the last 2 years, he was like, I want to do this, this, and this, and then you see he's on every single trip, he's doing everything he
Yep.
said he wants to do, and it's just like, don't wait. Like what he said he wanted to do, he's got to it. He had a huge impact on people of all ages. And it was just like, man, if nothing else, man, be more like Teddy when you walk into a room. Let people know that your presence is felt. When you say something, say it with love. Even if you got to be direct with it, say it with love. Have understanding, have compassion, have mercy, grace and mercy. Like Teddy was huge on that of understanding and all that stuff. So it was just like, man, even if you didn't know him, you just knew people that knew him, man. Just one, consider yourself privileged to even know of him or to know him, and yeah, just live your life to the fullest, man. Go after what's yours for real.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh, what a beautiful way to wrap that up. It's a couple more things I want to ask you about. One, I see you post this talking about the 20th show, but 16 more than 4. Cause
Oh
some poor unfortunate soul, and you don't have to tell all the details
yeah,
because I know you are a gracious person. You a man of God. You
yeah,
ain't gotta drag them like that.
yeah.
But what what is that about? The 16 more than 4. Help enlighten us.
That's dope. That's dope. Honestly, I feel like there comes a time and a place, no matter how peaceful you are, no matter how, like I said, like if anybody knows me, I'm big on grace and mercy. I'm big on leaving that door open for a sit down. I'm big on, if we have a misunderstanding, we might not leave with an understanding, but let's leave knowing that it's peace. Like but and it's not just a specific group, but it's been, I know people see me, they be like, "Oh, everybody loves you," and da da da, and that's dope. But that's not the case. That's not the case. When you
Mm,
behind closed doors and you actually doing something that people love, it's gonna be a lot of hate too. It's not gonna be
yeah,
as much, but it's gonna be a lot of hate. But yeah, it was just
it comes with
uh,
the territory.
yeah, it definitely comes with the territory. But it was people that I wouldn't expect, to make certain comments, and it was people that I wouldn't expect to even have that energy because it wasn't reciprocated, and it made me feel small to be like, dang, I was showing all these people love, and this is what was going on behind closed doors. Like I said, I wouldn't even give it any energy. I wouldn't even say none of that. But it came back to me several different ways, and it was just like, yeah, man, y'all, this was that, and I was just like. man, that's whack, that's corny. And I think people don't expect me to acknowledge certain things. And a lot of times I don't have the energy to, or I don't care to. But in this situation where it was somebody that, that I highly, respected and had the utmost respect for, it's like, dang, you was counting me out? Like, that's pretty weird. So 16 more than four was just people counting us out, saying, "Oh, they'll be people come and go. These type of things come and go. They'll be done after four shows. Yeah, don't worry about it. I can guarantee you they're gonna be done after four shows." And here we
Wow.
are, 16 shows later from that fourth show, and
Mm-hmm.
that was just my mild way of saying, I can flex too, but I'm not that type of person. That's the best you're gonna get out of me. I come in peace, and like I said, the table is still set. If anybody who said anything, you're watching this, it's all love. The table is set. We can sit down, we can have conversations because that's what I'm all about. But until then, it's 16 more than four. I stand on that. And that's that comes from a good place. That don't come from no dark place. It's just 16 more than four. And this
Mm.
is our 20th show, and now it means something. So I appreciate y'all for the hashtag because we're gonna be hashtagging that all throughout the show.
I mean, why
16 more
not?
to 4. 16 more to 4. This
Why
thing say,
not?
stamp it, boom. 16 more
Listen,
than 4.
use them bricks to build up, build up what it is you're trying to create for
Absolutely.
sure. So 16 more than four and many, many more to come. How
Absolutely.
can people stay up to date with all things Made Man Improv and Justin Bland?
You can follow him. You can on Facebook is Justin Bland. Definitely check us out on Facebook. Um, a lot of times, with me being the source of how we get everything rolling, the information that comes straight from me. You don't have to even go
Mm-hmm.
to a page like the Made Man page and all that stuff. But if you choose to do that on Instagram, you can follow me at J Bland Made Man, and you can follow us at Made Man Improv Show. That is Made Man with an A. A lot of people have been putting that E right there. A lot of people have been putting man made. I get it. It's gonna follow us throughout, our
Listen, you know how we will
life.
jack some stuff
Yeah,
up.
but it's all listen, it's all good. I get it. I understand. Like all my
Yeah,
life when I'm sitting in class and somebody name is, whatever their name is, somebody mess it up. I'm just thinking like, oh, it's no big deal, man. They messed up. But now since I got a made man improv and people saying we want man made to do this and we want made men, I'm like, because you see 16 men on stage, it is still made man. It's just just that's it. So yeah, you can follow us, and the website will be coming soon. I'm very excited about that. I feel like we're kind of late with it, but better late than never. We got
yeah.
some dope
And I
collab.
mean, shit, you've been selling out shows without no website, so I
I think
mean,
that's
it'll get
what's
there
kind of.
when
I
it get
think
there.
yeah, I think that's what kind of enabled us because it's like, oh, we've been doing it without, but now it's to a point where we trying to level up and get on a bigger scale. We got some
For
dope
sure.
collaborations coming up. Like I said, the 20th show. That's just the tip of the. I mean, that's not even. That's we got plenty more in store. We got so many dope collaborations, so many dope shows, so many dope theme shows, so many dope opportunities, and yeah, it's time, man. It's made, man. It's our time for sure.
Awesome. Well, Justin, I appreciate you spending some of your time with me to have this conversation. I knew this was going to be a fun convo, so I'm glad we got to do it. Really, really excited about what you have going on. And yeah, we will talk again real, real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I love you. I appreciate you.
Of course, love you too. Thank you, Justin, for such an amazing, amazing conversation. I will drop links in the show notes to the Made Man Improv page. I will drop links to Justin's page so that you guys can connect with them, find out more about the amazing things happening with Made Man Improv and when their next show is. I hope to see you in the audience. I will have my Kleenex on deck because I know they're going to take me there like they always, always do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, have a great time and a positive life. Peace.